I just had somebody call me that saw my ad for hay, and they asked if it was gluten-free, non-GMO. Gluten-free, non-GMO hay. I don't know, sounds like a marketing plan to me. All right, guys, just unloaded about 120 bales in the back here. I figured I would explain how I unload hay by myself. I had said it before that I have to unload all my hay by myself, and I'll agree with anybody that says it's very inefficient to do square bales time-wise. I'd probably agree with that. They're a pain. And basically the only reason I'm doing it is because that's what I'm set up for right now. So that might change in the future, but this is what I have to work with, and I have to make the hay, so this is what I do. So when I come here at the barn, first of all, I don't have any electric here, so you have to run a generator on an extension cord and to the elevator. So that's kind of inefficient that I don't have any electric. I got to cart the generator around, but we're going to try to remedy that this winter. And I don't mean to keep you guys in suspense over this combine thing. I still haven't bought it, and I still don't know what I want to do, so just bear with me a little bit. I like to take a few days to think it over and make my decision. So anyway, I get the wagon here. I can pull up with the 685 and kind of around here, and then I just have enough room to get it out of the way. And I don't want it right up tight against the elevator. I don't want to have it smashed against. You'd think I'd want it close to it just on account of not walking them as far, but what I do is I get up on the wagon and throw them all down on a pile right here. So I throw as many on a pile as I can get before I even start the elevator, so it'll be, I don't know, 5 foot high or so, and then I start up the elevator, and then I can unload from the pile to the elevator, and I can probably unload it faster if I had somebody in there stacking. Being that I don't have anybody in there stacking, I can pretty well throw them on as fast as I can get them on. As fast as I am ambitious to throw them on, I can get them almost every paddle or every other. So, and usually on a wagon like this, now it's only a 16-foot wagon, I've had 120 bales on at max, and that was stopping in between the stack a little bit here or there. But anyway, so I'll throw half the wagon on a pile, send half the wagon up to where it's going, come back, shut the thing off, come back, unload the other half on a pile, and then send it up the elevator. That's not the part that takes the time. The time and where it gets efficient is when I'm in here. Now I've got a pile of hay that I want to stack, but now I don't have any pressure of any more hay coming up or anything. I can just take my time, and if I don't have anything pressing or no more hay, sometimes I just let it sit like this until I get a chance to get it stacked. Not too long, maybe a day or two, or waiting for cooler weather or early in the morning. It's a good morning workout to come out and stack some hay, and if I have a mountain that I didn't stack yet, I'll only do a couple at a time every day till I get it stacked. So it's not a case of the wagon comes right out of the field to the barn, I have 4, 5, 6 people waiting, and it gets unloaded, and the end of the day when you're done baling, the wagons are clean and everything's swept up and put away. That's usually not the case with me. A lot of times when I'm done baling, the wagons come down, they get back in the shed, and they'll sit on the wagon for a while until I get time. So this stuff was baled, I don't know, a week ago. So there it is in the barn. Now, one thing where it doesn't work out too well, now this elevator can get cranked up pretty high. Once you get, and I made the mistake of coming out too far front right off the bat this year, which isn't a big deal. I still have plenty of room, but once you get up so high, you can only get about, I don't know, 15, 20 bales up there piled up before they start hanging up on the elevator and they're not moving where they should. That's where it'd be nice to have somebody moving them away. But in that case, I'll send 15, 10, 20 up the elevator, and once they're on a pile up there, I'll shut everything off, go up, stack them, come back down, send some more up. And I try not to be under a big rush, so I don't wear myself out. It's not a big rush. I try to make it so that I can do it kind of a little at a time and make a big job for one person into a small job every day a little bit. So that's kind of how I do it. If you could get help to help you, it'd be nice, but it's not like it's that big of a project for one guy. It's just, it takes time, and some days you have more time than others. So like I say, I try not to kill myself. It's kind of just put away what you can. If it's 95, 100 degrees outside and I don't have anything pressing as far as needing the wagons, I'll just unload half and wait till it's cooler. So yeah. So the other thing is why it's important is you want to keep a steady stream coming out all the time, because that way it never does get that piled up that you can't do that. But I got these here. I have another half load to unload. I have some I want to rebale. This is from the whole year, this loose stuff. It's all the stuff from the wagons. It's any of the busted bales. It's chaff from unloading. It's kind of everything from the entire year. So what I do, I'll come up here with the 986. I'll just put the baler in the barn, fork this onto a pile right in front of the pickup head, and get the thrower tuned up enough that I can just shoot them up there, so I don't have to handle them then. Can stack them right up top just with the thrower. So maybe I'll get some video. I hope to do that today, get some of this rebaled. Some guys might throw it in for bedding or feed. Like I said, I don't have any animals. Some guys take it out and spread it on the field for organic matter. At $4 a bale, I'd rather rebale it and sell it eventually. I had a few issues with the baler early on in the year, and that's kind of what a lot of this is. I had a lot of busted bales for the first couple rounds, so that one side wasn't tying, so that's all that is. So yeah, that's just a quick update of how I handle my hay and how I unload it by myself. So like I said, it's very manageable. One guy can do it. You just don't put yourself under a ton of stress trying to hurry up to get it unloaded, because it's usually not an emergency. So thanks for watching. Okay, now I'm on the other end of it. Got a pile of hay, and I want to stack it back here. It's dark. I don't know if you can see. The way I was taught growing up is your first layer on the barn floor, you set upright, so the strings are to the sides instead of the bottom. You guys may do it a different way. That's how I was taught from little on up. Then the thinking was that if mice get into it, they don't chew up the strings if they're in between the bales and the floor. I don't know if there's any truth to it, but the first course I always set up on the edge, and then stack the rest of them flat, alternating each layer this way and this way. So I've worked for many different guys putting hay away, and everybody has their own special formula. Pretty much though, everybody, that was the way it was for the first course, to stand it up on the edge. The next thing I do to help preserve it, if this hay is going to be in here a real long time, there's bound to get some moisture in it eventually. Now granted, the outside humidity might play into it. It's not a big deal, but if there's any leaks in the roof, you can see the walls. There's some holes if you have some rainstorms that blow in like crazy. There's no hay preserve on this stuff, because I had a request from a few customers with horses not to use hay preserve, even though hay preserve, they have a variant of it that is safe for horses. But those guys, the guys that make hay know what I'm talking about. You get phone calls, is there any chemicals on it? Somebody said, is it non-GMO and gluten-free? It's just the culture that we're living in now, with people being so separated from the farm. So I try to keep this separate. This stuff didn't have any herbicide on it, and it didn't have any hay preserve, and it didn't even have any fertilizer on it. So for the people that are looking for non-GMO and gluten-free hay, I can serve their needs as well. And it was kind of just by accident that I didn't get any of that stuff on the one field. So Heck, some of them might even pay more, being that it doesn't have spray. You get the right kind of customer on the phone, you can negotiate with them a little bit and say, well, I have the gluten hay, and the GMO hay is $4, and if you want 100% organic, it's going to be $5-6. So it's just for non-farmers, it's a fun game to play sometimes. But anyway, I'm getting off track. What I do to preserve it then once it's in here is I throw some salt in between each layer. Now this is another old time trick, and a lot of old timers had told me about this. That's what they did years ago, years past. Every layer of hay, you take a handful or a couple handfuls of salt and just throw it out over the hay, and as you're stacking it, it moves and dribbles down through. That way, if you do get any moisture in the hay, if it is being stored for a long time, it helps keep the moisture out of the hay. The next advantage of it is if it's going to cattle or horses, they love to eat it because it has salt in it, and they need salt. And depending on who has the horses, they may not have access to a salt block, or they may not be getting enough salt in their diet. So it kind of helps the animals too. There's a little more feed value there. And this salt is cheap. Now this is just a 50-pound bag, and I think it was like $6. And a 50-pound bag, believe it or not, lasts a long time. So it's a very inexpensive preservative to put on, and I guess it would be considered gluten-free. So anyway, like I say, this is the part where I have to stack everything. Now, I've worked for some farmers that stacked all their hay, and I've worked for farmers that put the elevator 32 to 40 feet in the air and just threw it in the barn and let it rain down any which way, and then that's what it was. Now, usually the difference was the guys that just put the elevator up and let the hay rain down, they had their own animals and they were feeding it, so it didn't matter that it was stacked. A lot of guys that sell hay, you want to have it stacked just because then you're not selling twisted bales or banana-shaped bales or bales that have divots or dents, and it just looks a lot better for the customer in the end. It's kind of a pain in the neck sometimes, but that's how I do it here on the farm. So gonna try to get this put away.